to the second episode of Lex Write About It. I'm your host, Lex J, and I am so excited for this episode. We are having our very first guest, Benét. Benét is an emerging poet from California who is pursuing her BA in English. She is a lover of literature with a weakness for coffee and the color of burnt clay. She writes about a melting pot of navigating healing with the hope that Black girls and women will see themselves in her work. Wow, that's beautiful. Welcoming Benét.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, thank you for joining me today. I really like the way you continued that metaphor of burnt clay into a melting pot in your bio. That was really nice. Nice play
Thank
on
you.
words. Yes. So just I want to open up with a few questions just to, open up everything. But before I do that, I do want to just say hi and say thank you for being on my show and thank you for wanting to be a part of this, just to grow and, be an opportunity of something bigger. So I really, really appreciate that. How did you come up with your name, your pen name, Benét?
Yeah, so my last name is Benét. And my friends would jokingly be like, "Oh, Benét," instead of pronouncing it the right way. So at first I was just gonna go by Benét. I was like, maybe I should just use my first initial too, A Benét. And then I found out apparently that Benét means poet in like another language. I don't
Ooh,
remember which language it is, but I was like, oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So it was destined.
It was, yeah, meant to be.
Period. I love that for you. What inspired you to start writing?
Um, and I've always written things, different things, plays, stories, sad poems when I got my heart broken when I was younger as a way to express myself. But I would say it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I got really serious about writing poetry. And what inspired me is just the way it can move people, the way that it can touch people, and how relatable it is in its craft and spoken and written. And it's just something that really moves me. And yeah, I've always loved poetry.
Wow, that's great. And also, I we had never even had this conversation before today, and just hearing you say you had a lot of pieces, about heartbreak and just reflecting on today's topic, which is pain, or the topic for this season. So I think that that's also, it's a lot of alignment going on because we hadn't even had this conversation. So that's great. That's amazing. Um, I'm happy you're doing something you have a true love for. Um,
Definitely.
how do you plan to make a difference through your art?
I think being a poet of witness is a big thing to me ever since I learned that term coined by Carolyn Forche, which is just bearing witness to traumatic events. And 2 years ago, I wrote this poem bearing witness to the police brutality and the missing of Black girls and women in the world, and how silent everybody was about it, but how we were kind of starting to make noise. And I feel like through my poetry, I'm able to bear witness to something, even if I didn't see it in person. I'm witnessing those feelings and those emotions along with my people. And I'm hoping that when people read my poetry, they see that reflected, but I also want to show the good experiences as well. I always want to make sure I'm witnessing the truth, the facts that are happening every day, but I also want to witness the good truths and facts that are happening every day so that we can get that representation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. That's amazing. Yes, well, you definitely have a supporter in me from now on. So whatever you're doing or involved in, I will definitely be a part of and support in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I can't wait for you to share that amazing art with us today. Um, Just to talk about the topic just a little bit, it is pain. So I know that that's a very vulnerable space to dive deep into, especially when you're sharing it with a bunch of listeners, people who you've never had to be vulnerable with. So thank you for accepting that, because you could have been like, Lex, not girl. I'm not doing that because I do not want to be vulnerable. I do not want to show emotions. I don't want to do none of that. But instead, you say yes, and I just thank you for being willing to be open, and share. So whenever you're ready.
Reach. When people touch me, muscle and bone reject bond by jumping out of skin, cracking in tightness, yawning a distance that can't be bridged by reaching hands. My natural instinct is to flinch. I don't know when I learned to be afraid of connection, but I'm sure it has something to do with my father and the open arms turned waiting, turned closing, turned knowing love couldn't last long enough, just enough to tell me I could never be worthy of forever. An ache for this body, longing for this spirit wouldn't last always, like trouble, like a song my finger is already drawn to repeat. I stopped eating, refused to shave my body, grew small, grew silent, bargained with God to stay baby girl, stay important enough to deserve the love daughter can only get from daddy. As lacking skin adapts, I attempt to water self with love, but hands tremble, reflections bend to breaking. I supplicate at the altar of Skyline and 61st, deny myself in God's presence, learn to press hands and bow knees, to evade arms hugging in constraint. And the walls of Jericho were better off standing tall because kids are mean. Don't hear mercy screaming in your eyes when having fun, and the lack thereof turns to glory, hallelujah, hands raised in mocking surrender. Pray eyes can't see I'm just a pretender, enduring playful shoves into white walls, worshipping thrust below water by hands strong enough to teach me to hold breath, to close throat and avoid flood, to pick up pen filled with hope like spirit, words drawing in like arms, heat clay into something that lasts the way I never can. Scrape skin like calluses on hands pressed firmly together. Pray that words on a page may be brave where I shy away, that metaphors may tread across the space created by pain, that we may bless my work together. Reaching hands, turn grabbing, turn holding, turn touching me.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. I I really like your writing style. You said something like, it's hard for you to connect, and then you started to piece together and link and connect all the different ways in which this scenario, this situation connected back to you saying that you couldn't even connect it. That's like, that's some great writing. I
Thank
really, really
you.
like that. Um, I'm the type of person, and I'm so sorry to do this to you, but I'm the type of person where when I hear a piece, I hear it one time to listen, and then I hear it one time to hear it. So I kind of want to ask you to do it again.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Just so, one, so that our listeners can also get a different feel or hear a different line that they may not have heard, the first time, or just something, but also just because I really like your writing style. And no offense to the future guests, but I may not do this with everybody, but I really, really like your writing style. So I really want to hear it again. Um, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Reach. When people touch me, muscle and bone reject bond by jumping out of skin, cracking in tightness. Yawning a distance that can't be bridged by reaching hands, my natural instinct is to flinch. I don't know when I learned to be afraid of connection, but I'm sure it has something to do with my father. And the open arms turn waiting, turn closing, turn knowing love couldn't last long enough. Just enough to tell me I could never be worthy of forever. An ache for this body, longing for this spirit wouldn't last always, like trouble, like a song my finger is already drawn to repeat. I stopped eating, refused to shave my body, grew small, grew silent, bargained with God to stay baby girl, stay important enough to deserve the love daughter can only get from daddy. As lacking skin adapts, I attempt to water self with love, but hands tremble, reflections bend to breaking, and I supplicate at the altar of Skyline and 61st Street. Deny myself in God's presence, learn to press hands and bow knees, to evade arms hugging in constraint. And the walls of Jericho were better off standing tall because kids are mean. Don't hear mercy screaming in your eyes when having fun, and the lack thereof turns to glory. Hallelujah, hands raised in mocking surrender. Pray eyes can't see I'm just a pretender, enduring playful shoves into white walls, worshipping thrust below water by hands strong enough to teach me to hold breath, to close throat and avoid flood, to pick up pen, filled with hope like spirit, words drawing in like arms, heat clay into something that lasts the way I never can. Scrape skin like calluses on hands pressed firmly together. Pray that words on a page may be brave where I shy away. That metaphors may tread across the space created by pain. That we may bless my work together. Reaching hands turn grabbing, turn holding, turn touching me.
Thank you for doing your piece again. It's definitely refreshing to hear again. Just even after just hearing it, you hear so much that maybe you did hear the first time, and you just didn't really know that. Oh, you know, like the line about your finger being, like your song is drawn to repeat. Like, yes. um, thank you for sharing. If you don't have any more, I would move on to the closing three. How did you? I'm sorry. How were you feeling when you wrote "Reach"?
I was feeling kind of shocked, honestly. It was something that just poured out of me. I had a prompt called Natural Instinct, and then I just started writing this. Like it just kind of came out. Like I don't even think that I was fully aware as I was writing it. And then when I reread the spill draft, I was like, oh wow, this is kind of um therapy right now because I didn't necessarily realize these things until I wrote them. So I was feeling very vulnerable and shocked and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Which is all the more reason why this is such an extreme thank you for sharing, because just hearing you say, you were so vulnerable during this phase, and when you wrote it, it wasn't even, intentional. It was just like a spew, and there it was, So yeah, that's amazing. What place were you at in life when you were writing this piece? Anything shifting in your life, or anything just pushing you to, you know, sit and write and have that moment of, you know, being vulnerable?
That is a good question. Um, I believe I wrote this in the summertime or like school graduation time. And I had just graduated from community college and knew that I was transferring up to Berkeley for like university 4-year bachelor's degree, which was something that's been a long time coming for me. So that's been a major shift in my life. In the summer kind of acted as a calm before the storm, sort of, me kind of bittersweetly saying goodbye to my friends and loved ones down in SoCal before moving up here. So that was a big shift, I would say. Yeah, maybe just that.
Which is always, you know, just moving alone, you know, just anywhere in California, just period. Just, you know, moving from, say, Sherman Oaks to Hollywood, that's even a big move, you know. So I can only imagine moving from, like you said, SoCal to Berkeley. It's just like a big shift and a big change. So yeah, I can see how such a move could, you know, have you write such a strong and a powerful piece. I love that for you. And I know you said you were choosing between two pieces today. Why do you feel like Reach needed to be heard? And I have no idea, you know, what your other piece was. But what made you drawn to share Reach with us today?
I just when you said this topic was going to be about pain, and I was reading some other poems that were kind of like break pain, like trauma pain within the body. But I read Reach and I was like, I'm really talking about the pain of maybe not feeling like you can be vulnerable with other people. And seeing as how I was going to share this with people, I felt it was pretty fitting to share it. And as I was reading it, I didn't even realize I said the word pain in this poem, like, until I read it right now. So I was like, I think I made a good choice.
Yeah, you did. It was amazing. Okay. We are doing good on time, so if you want to still share your other piece with us today, I'm open to hearing that as well, just so you feel like, you know, you shared.
I'm trying to remember what they were. I should have left them on here. I know one of them was called Tenderheaded. Or Tender Skinned. I'm sorry. Not know about Tender Skinned. Which is obviously a play on words for tenderheaded.
Yes.
Okay.
Tender-skinned. Mama said, my tender head matches my tender skin. She told me to toughen up. Ain't nobody got time to be gentle with me, to watch their mouth and speak with care. Otherwise, I'll never have skin as thick as my hair. Mama said, sit still. If I move my head one more time, their words will burn me. Insults that linger on my skin match the scabs that formed before I knew how to be tame, before I knew a bristle brush could smooth the shame. Mama said, stop crying. The detangling process don't hurt that bad. But as I watch my feelings ripped from my head, I think it'd be easier to sort through them with a wide-tooth comb so I can catch all the knots. all the fleeing thoughts. Mama said it's time to relax her. That once I'm broken, it'll go smoother, like the ends that have already departed, leaving my neck exposed to their stares. She unbends my emotions until they're no longer my own, and I'm left standing still, straight as a bone. Mama said my tender head matches my tender skin. But I told her trauma doesn't give me armor plates, that the answer to my tenderness does not require gritting my teeth and dealing with pain, that I cannot be weighed down by a mane created to reach towards the sky.
Yes, ma'am. You better talk about it. You better talk about it. Cause can we talk about how it was really pain getting your hair done as a little girl?
Hey, man.
Ugh, like please. And then they have the nerve to say beauty is pain.
Like, don't tell me that.
Oh God, please. Yes, ma'am. Talk about it. Your play on words is amazing, ma'am. The line of bone straight with yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wow. Whew. I really, really, really love these. They both are really amazing pieces. I can see why you were, weighing between the both of them because, yeah, because I resonated so well with Tender Skin because, listen, the pain.
Real bad.
Yes.
But that's the goal, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I want, especially for my Black women out there, or people who identify as women or did used to identify as women and can relate to this type of experience.
Yes, absolutely. And you absolutely did that today with me.
Thank you.
And I know that you will do it with our listeners as well. So,
Thank you.
of course. Before we close out, don't forget to shout out your socials or any projects you're currently working on that you'd like to promote so the people can stay up and follow you.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Benét the Writer, BENETTHEWRITER, Benét the Writer. And I'm working on a chapbook right now. Hopefully, it'll be out in like the next 2 years.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes.
But yeah, you can follow me on there. I'm publishing some stuff, so I'll update those with the poems that are out in the world.
Of course. Well, us at Lex Write About It will definitely be following and keeping up with you and what you're doing and involved with. And you will have that in 2 years. If that is your goal, you will have it. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Of course. If that is all, thank you for joining me. I am so happy we had a chance to connect and share some art. I can't wait to see where your art takes you. And good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy I came.
Of course. And we will stay in contact and just let me know any way that I can support you and be there, and I will.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Peace out. Ladies, gentlemen, and my non-binary peeps, you know what that sound means. It's time for listeners write about it. The question of the day is, what do you need to stop doing to make bigger changes? I'm going to say that again. What do you need to stop doing to make bigger changes? Remember to drop your answer in the comment section on our IG. And if you feel so inclined to write a piece, you can click the link in our bio to submit your piece, and yours just might get read on the next episode. Well, good people, that's all for this episode of Let's Write About It. Thank you for listening. We would love to hear some of your favorite moments from today's episode. And if you want to stay connected with all things LWABI, you can follow our Instagram at lwabi.podcast and our Facebook page at Let's Write About It. They will also be listed in the episode description. I am your host, Lex J, and as always, love, peace, and poetry. Until next time, I'm out!